Alright everyone, it's time to make the corset. As always, don't forget to subscribe, and let's just get started. Okay guys, it's here. So, my proper package opening scissors. So it's really hard to find in the US, I found, at least not super expensive or like in bulk, which is cotton coutil, which is like the go-to for, well, corset making. And I'm curious because I've never had this fabric before, mostly because I've never really been that big into making corsets. Certainly not historical ones, so I've only ever gotten like satins and cottons and stuff when I have done corsets. So I splurged and I got colors. Whoa, that was noisy. So that I could maybe make a couple of corsets in the future. Well, just in general. So for this project I'm going to be using the white, but I got like this fawn color because there's a 1890s corset that is in this that I might try and replicate, and then black, same thing, is a really pretty 1890s corset I would like to try and replicate. So what I was really curious about though is I wanted to compare it to the other two fabrics I had already gotten that I was going to originally make this corset in. So the first one's organic cotton twill, 100% cotton. I really just wanted to see if there was a really big difference. And you know what, I'm going to say if you don't want to get coutil, because it is a bit expensive, like I'll leave the description, I'll put the shop in the description below where I got this, but for a yard, yeah, it was like $15 to $16. So it's not super cheap. So you may want to go with twill. And I'm telling you right now, like comparing the two, they're really similar. I mean really similar. So this I'm pretty sure was cheaper as well. It's been a while since I bought it, but I remember it being not $15 a yard. So I'm also going to leave a link for the twill. And all it really says is that, yeah, I don't know what ounce it is because it only says it's organic cotton twill. But hey, so now I can even make another corset if I want to, because the twill would be totally acceptable. I may use that as a lining, I'm not sure. Now this one, I was a bit disappointed with. This is 5-ounce cotton twill. And oh my goodness, it is so stiff. I mean, look how stiff, that's crazy. I don't really know if this would be suitable for a corset because I worry that because of it's so stiff, it just wouldn't be good. I did see, because I bought both these on fabric.com, and I noticed on this one someone left a review saying yes, it's stiff, but she actually was using it for historical costuming and she used it to line her fitted bodices, and it was great that way. So I'll probably keep this around, and hey, maybe in the future I can use it for my fitted bodices. But for this project, no. So, alright, so I will be putting these two aside as well, because I'm not going to be making anything with a white corset. And, basically I gotta decide if I want to make it all coutil, or if I want to line it with twill. And I'll probably, I don't know, I think I'll make it all, it's just this fabric, just to be safe. And I'll keep this so I can have another corset. Because I don't know, maybe I'm going to absolutely adore this. So we got our coutil, we got a couple of busk, and yeah. And I'll also just show you guys real quick that I've done my mock-up in cotton. Ignore that some of my pieces ended up a little longer than they should have been, but it seems to fit really nicely. Of course, mock-ups are a bit hard with corsets because, well, you know, corsets tend to get a bit more rigid. So yeah, I'm gonna grab my pattern and start cutting, and we'll go from there. Alright everyone, so I went ahead and decided to do it all in coutil, and I'll be cutting out 4 of each pattern piece. And there, everything is cut. Now we're gonna do the part that I thought was gonna be kind of scary, which is putting in the busk. And her instructions are very helpful, but basically you want your busk to end at the top and bottom about 1 inch in. So I marked that, and I follow her instructions to mark where these parts come in. I thought this was going to be a lot harder, but it was pretty easy. This is more just so you have like a visual idea of what her pattern entails, which I think I forgot to mention, but I'm using the Truly Victorian pattern 110, which is just kind of a generic late Victorian design, but I believe that pattern pretty much works for like from 1870s through the 90s, 1890s, so yeah. And this was just boring, like having to start and stop sewing. Just pretty much follow your lines and you'll be fine. Also, if you are admiring my little cat pin cushion, I will leave a link in the description below where you can buy your own cat pin cushion. They're super cute and very handy. I believe I own 3, but the gray one is my favorite because it looks like my little kitty cats. Alright, now you're going to need your zipper foot, and I forgot to film that. Basically what I did is I pressed it open, and then I fed in the busk half. I thought I had filmed it, and I think I just lost the footage, sadly. But it was very easy, and like I said, her instructions are really super easy to understand. What's nice using the zipper foot is, like, I went slow, but it kind of sits on the middle of the busk, so it helps you guide and keep a pretty straight line. Also, make sure that there's nothing in the back to stop your busk from moving forward. So now we're going to add the other half of the busk, and basically you just want to overlap it and somehow mark where the holes are. I'm using my pin that disappears when I iron everything away. It's just like I just love those pins. I love them so much. And I'm using my awl to kind of puncture the holes. This is going to take patience because you don't want to tear a huge hole because you could get some fraying going on. But if you do too tiny of a hole, it's really hard to push the metal through. As you can see, I kind of struggled with this. It's just be patient. Just be patient and you will get there. It's kind of embarrassing to watch me struggle so much. But I finally did it! Yay! And same thing, putting on my zipper foot, I'm just sewing very carefully along that edge of the middle busk to hold it into place. So one of the other things I wanted to go over and show you guys, and that might be confusing, is how to sandwich everything together. So I've basted obviously the first piece that had the busk in it, and now I'm sandwiching it in the next piece. And she talks about this in her pattern, but I know like it's sometimes easier to see it visually. And I thought this was just a great way of doing each section, like compared to the other corsets I've tried to make. After you've sewn all the pieces, you're now going to sew along the seams, and this will be the first the first side of your boning channel. After this, you'll have to mark where your bones like width is and sew it align to finish up the channel. Just remember to keep it taut and you won't get bubbles. Okay, so her instructions said that the top grommet should be an inch from the top, and then our bottom one should be also an inch, and then they should be about an inch between each grommet, which I haven't marked that yet because I'll have to do that as I go along. So I'm going to do that and I'll show you what they look like afterwards. Okay, first off, sorry for the lawn mowing in the background, but life happens. Alright, so I've got my eyelets in. I don't know why for the life of me I picked brass. I don't know. I should have gone with silver, I guess. But oh well. So now I'm just going to follow her instructions. I'm going to base the top, put on my white bias tape, and if I want any trimmings, which I will be doing a tiny lace trimming, I think. I just gotta dig it up and find it. Then after that, I'm gonna, I guess we're on to the boning. So yeah. So I found the best way to measure it was just kind of using my flexible measuring tape, going along where my boning channels are and figuring out how long they need to be. And as I stated before, you want about a ½ inch at the top and the bottom, which I did not do all the time. I tried my best, just snip your boning. It's as simple as that. Put whatever protective cover on it or file it down, whatever you want to do, and we'll slide it into the channel. I just used all flat steel boning. I don't really like spiral boning because I find it's much harder to cut, and I don't really see a huge difference. I guess it's just personal preference. So, now this is where we start getting into the details of the corset, which are not in her pattern. And right here I am bending my busk roughly where my waist is, so that this is the bottom of the busk. And this is to get that sort of curved S shape that you see in a lot of corsets from that time period. And I like this too because it makes the busk a little bit challenging sometimes to fasten, but not by much, and it does give you that interesting Victorian corset shape, and it does make it a bit more comfortable over your tummy pooch, which is natural, by the way, ladies. It also kind of makes it bow in a bit, like at the waist up until the chest area. I could have done that more dramatic, like I've seen it really dramatically bow in, but I just was more interested in getting it to bow outward and then kind of in. So this is just going to be, you just want to make sure they match. Now another detail you can add is flossing, and there are a lot of other people on YouTube that know
and teach how to do flossing much better than I can. So I'm just going to go and show real quick how to do some basic X flossing at the bottom of my boning channels. And this is like the important place to floss, because basically what you're doing is you're making it so those bones at the bottom, which will be where they're getting the most wear and tear, are kind of more stuck where they're going to be. They were not going to shift up and down, and they're not going to try and poke out of your fabric. And that's what it looks like. I kind of showed earlier how I wasn't making too many stitches on the outside. So here's another thing you can do. I got some bust enhancers from Hobby Lobby that you're supposed to put in your bra. I got BC cups, and I'm going to make them my hip pads. So I've put on my corset and I pinned them into place where I wanted them to be. And I'm taking a curled needle and white thread and just slowly sewing it on. And what I'm trying to do is I'm just going in between the two layers of the lining and the fashion fabric. So I'm only actually sewing it to the lining. That way you won't see the stitching on the other side. And this was like really easy. I thought it was going to be really hard. Maybe it's because I had the curved needle, but this was not hard. The flossing was a bit hard because that kind of hurt my hands.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Overall, I really enjoyed working with this pattern. I thought it was super easy to understand. It made what could have been a very, very horrible project nice and smooth. I've been dreading doing the corset. It's like there are two garments that terrify me, and I think it's because of the boning involved. One was the corset, which I'm so glad it's done. It's done. It came out fantastic. We can move on. Of course, the other one is the bustle I will have to make, but I don't have to make that just yet. But it is coming up. I am so nervous. But yes, I hope you learned something from this video. If not, I hope you just enjoyed coming on this crazy corset adventure with me. If you did, don't forget to subscribe, click that notification bell, and I'll see you next time.